If you're a gentleman past the age of 60, please listen to this very carefully. There are certain vegetables, yes, just vegetables, that might be gradually diminishing your erections, depleting your testosterone, and hindering blood flow to the areas where it matters most. What's really surprising is that these are often the very vegetables that many doctors recommend for good health. However, for us older men, they could be quietly having the opposite effect. I'm Dr. Anya Sharma, and I've dedicated over 30 years to men's health, helping men like you regain their vitality, protect their prostate, and naturally revitalize their performance. Now, here's the interesting part. Some of those vegetables you've relied on for years might be the very culprits undermining your energy, hormones, and self-assurance. And you may be shocked to hear which ones they are. In today's video, I'm going to reveal 4 vegetables that you might want to consider avoiding after 60, and, more importantly, 4 powerful vegetables you should incorporate into your diet to encourage healthy blood flow, testosterone production, and masculine strength at any age. And please stay tuned until the end, because the worst of these vegetables may very well be sitting in your kitchen right now, disguised as a healthy choice. Before we get started, if you're a man over 60 and you're concerned about your energy levels, circulation, and your confidence, both in general and in the bedroom, please be sure to click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, so you never miss another crucial tip designed specifically for you. And if this video resonates with you, please type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback really helps me to tailor these videos to better meet your needs. Alright, let's begin with the very first vegetable you might want to think twice about eating after 60. Many men believe it's good for their heart, but it can actually disrupt your hormones and weaken erections over time. I'm referring to soy, and here's why it can be so deceptively dangerous. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Mark. He was 67, a retired engineer, and a proud grandfather to 3. He came to my office feeling confused and frustrated. He exercised every day, avoided junk food, and even followed a plant-based diet. Yet, his energy was dwindling, his mood was down, and intimacy had quietly faded from his life. Blood tests revealed the truth. His testosterone levels were very low, his estrogen was elevated, and his blood vessels showed signs of early restriction. The surprising cause? Soy. Soy-based foods like edamame, soybeans, and tofu are often praised for being heart-healthy, for lowering cholesterol, and even for being beneficial to men. But for older men, they can be a hormonal pitfall. Soy contains compounds called phytoestrogens, which mimic the female hormone estrogen in the body. When you consume soy regularly after the age of 60, your body absorbs these plant-based estrogens, and over time, they can start to compete with your testosterone, reducing your drive, decreasing muscle mass, and, most dangerously, restricting the signals that trigger erections. The impact of soy goes beyond just a number on a hormone report. It's the gradual loss of what makes you feel like a man, that spark, that edge, that quiet confidence. And most men are completely unaware that it's happening until it's almost too late. Once we removed soy from Mark's diet and supported his liver's natural detoxification processes, his energy bounced back within weeks. His morning erections returned, and his relationship rekindled. He told me, "I feel like I've gained 10 years back." But soy is just the beginning. There's another leafy green that you've probably been adding to your smoothies, which seems harmless, but can silently damage your kidneys, impair your circulation, and leave your manhood weaker than ever. Let's discuss that next. If there's one vegetable that almost every man considers a superfood, it's spinach. It's a star ingredient in green smoothies, morning omelets, and health blogs everywhere. And yet, I've had to caution many patients, good men in their 60s and 70s, about the subtle damage that raw spinach can inflict on their circulation, kidneys, and overall confidence. One of those men was Richard, 63 years old, and a firm believer in healthy living. He came to me complaining of a persistent pelvic pressure, weak erections, and occasional lower back pain. He initially attributed it to aging or perhaps a prostate issue. But when we analyzed his lab results and reviewed his diet, a warning sign appeared. He was consuming raw spinach every single day. Here's something that most men don't realize. Raw spinach is high in oxalates. These plant compounds can bind to essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, forming crystals that can clog up the kidneys, stiffen soft tissues, and reduce the availability of nutrients needed for healthy blood flow. Over time, this can potentially lead to kidney stones, joint stiffness, and even hinder the production of nitric oxide, the very molecule that triggers an erection. The consequence for Richard was not just urinary discomfort. It was also poor circulation to his pelvic region, mineral depletion, and a gradual weakening of his manhood. Once he switched to steamed spinach a couple times a week and diversified his greens, things began to improve. He slept better, his back pain lessened, and his morning drive returned. But spinach isn't the only seemingly healthy food that can cause problems. The next one is a staple in nearly every American kitchen, especially in its processed form. And it can wreak havoc on your blood sugar, waistline, and testosterone levels all at once. Most men consume it weekly, unaware of the long-term damage it can cause. Let's delve into it now. I recall sitting down with George, a 70-year-old retired firefighter, a man with broad shoulders and a quiet strength in his voice. But beneath that strong exterior, he was struggling. His doctor had told him that his blood sugar was rising, his belly fat had increased, and, most concerningly, his performance had become unreliable. "Doc," he said, "I eat a clean diet. I avoid sweets. I don't drink soda. I don't know what I'm doing wrong." We examined his diet more closely, and there it was, corn. Not just corn on the cob, but corn chips, corn oil, canned corn, and microwave popcorn. All of these seemingly harmless foods were overloading his body with processed carbohydrates, added sugars, and inflammatory oils. Here's what I told George, and what I want to share with you now. Processed corn can cause your blood sugar to spike faster than candy. It can lead to insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and an increase in abdominal fat, which, in turn, converts testosterone into estrogen. And that's not just bad for your waistline. It's detrimental to your hormones, your self-esteem, and your erections. The real cost of processed corn isn't just high blood pressure or fatigue. It's the slow constriction of your arteries, particularly the smaller vessels that fuel your manhood. It's the gradual buildup of plaque that diminishes your ability to feel alive and connected in the bedroom. George completely eliminated processed corn from his diet and replaced it with real, whole foods. 3 months later, his doctor reduced his medications, and his wife told me, "I've got my husband back." But there's still one more so-called health food that's often praised for its heart benefits. Yet, it contains plant compounds that can mimic female hormones. If you're sprinkling this into your smoothie or morning cereal, you need to understand what it's really doing to your testosterone. Let's talk about it next. When Daniel, a 64-year-old former high school coach, came to my office, he was doing everything by the book. He'd replaced red meat with veggie burgers, added flax seeds to his morning oatmeal, and even drank flax milk, believing he was protecting his heart. But what he didn't realize was that these habits, marketed as healthy, were gradually disrupting his masculine biology from the inside out. His complaints included a loss of morning erections, a feeling of softness, and a frustrating decrease in energy and motivation. Blood tests revealed that his free testosterone was unusually low, and his estrogen markers were rising. He was unknowingly being flooded with plant estrogens. Flax seeds are rich in lignans, compounds that can behave like estrogen in the male body. And while that might seem harmless for men over 60 with already declining testosterone, it's actually a hormonal ambush. These compounds attach to estrogen receptors, reduce testosterone's activity, and create a chemical imbalance that can quietly diminish your drive, your erections, and your sense of self. The price Daniel paid wasn't just hormonal, it was emotional. He told me, "I feel like I'm disappearing." And he's not alone. Many men reach this stage thinking they're doing everything right, not realizing that the very foods they trust are blurring the lines that make them feel strong, grounded, and alive. Once he eliminated flax-based products and started focusing on nutrients that support male health, things started to change. His spark returned, his presence came back. And that brings us to the exciting part, what to eat instead. Because the very first vegetable I'm going to share doesn't just protect your manhood, it can literally open up your blood vessels, improve circulation to your pelvic area, and reignite the fire you thought was gone. Let's discuss it now. I'll never forget my patient Alan, 71 years old, soft-spoken, and once full of energy and humor. But when he sat in my office that day, he looked exhausted. "Doc," he said, "I feel like something's just fading. I'm eating better, I'm walking every day, but down there, it's like nothing works anymore." That's when I asked him a simple question: have you ever tried beets? Beets are one of nature's most powerful allies for male vitality. especially after 60. They're rich in dietary nitrates, which the body converts into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is the very molecule responsible for relaxing blood vessels, improving circulation, and triggering an erection. When blood flow to the pelvic region improves, everything changes. More oxygen, more sensation, more strength. I suggested that Alan start with a small glass of beet juice every morning, nothing fancy. Within 10 days, he called me, "Doc, I woke up hard for the first time in months." His voice had life in it again. That's what circulation does. It brings your body back online. The cost of not getting enough circulation? Numbness, frustration, and a silent disconnect between you and your partner. But one humble root vegetable, when consumed consistently, can alter that trajectory. It's not a miracle, it's science working with your body, not against it. But boosting blood flow is just the first step. The next vegetable I'll discuss works on a different level. It helps flush out harmful hormones that can secretly accumulate with age and sabotage your manhood from the inside out. And when you combine it with beets, the results can be remarkable. Let's explore it together. A few years ago, I met Thomas, a 66-year-old retired Navy officer. He had strong hands, a sharp mind, but something was off. "I'm slowing down, Doc, not just in terms of energy, but in ways I don't want to admit." He hesitated before saying, "Intimacy has become more of a memory than a moment." That quiet confession stayed with me. I asked him about his digestion, water intake, and what vegetables he regularly consumed. Asparagus wasn't on his list, and that's where we started. Asparagus is more than just a side dish. It's one of the most potent hormonal detoxifiers in nature. It's rich in vitamin E and acts as a natural diuretic, helping to flush out excess estrogen that can quietly build up in a man's body with age. When estrogen levels rise and testosterone levels drop, everything changes. Libido decreases, belly fat increases, confidence diminishes, and erections become weaker and less frequent. The consequence of ignoring this hormone imbalance isn't just emotional, it's physical and deeply personal. Your body feels heavier, your desire fades, your spark disappears. But Thomas made the change. He started eating 3 servings a week of lightly steamed asparagus, paired with increased hydration and a few liver-supporting herbs. And within weeks, his energy improved. His wife noticed the change even before he did. Asparagus doesn't just help you feel lighter, it clears the hormonal fog that so many men over 60 live with without realizing it. But detoxification is just one piece of the puzzle. Because the next group of vegetables does something truly remarkable. They don't just protect your hormones, they help your body transform bad estrogen into safer forms and unlock testosterone that's been trapped for years. The science behind them is compelling. Let me show you how they work. When I first met David, he was 68 and appeared healthy on the outside, but his body was sending subtle distress signals, low energy, creeping weight around the midsection, and that nagging feeling of not quite feeling like himself anymore. "I'm not depressed," he told me, "but I'm not fully alive either." He wasn't sleeping well, intimacy felt forced, and his confidence was waning. We ran a hormone panel. His testosterone was borderline low, but what stood out was his elevated estrogen metabolites, indicating that his body wasn't effectively clearing out the excess. That's when I introduced cruciferous vegetables into his life: broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower, not just for their fiber or general health benefits, but for the powerful compounds they contain, indole 3-carbinol and DIM. These natural compounds support the liver in converting toxic forms of estrogen into safer, inactive forms. They help free up bound testosterone so your body can actually use it. The consequence of skipping cruciferous vegetables isn't immediate, but it's real. Over time, your hormonal balance silently shifts, testosterone gets locked away, estrogen builds up, and what you experience is a slower, heavier version of yourself, both mentally and physically. It's not aging, it's hormone congestion. David committed to eating a serving of broccoli a day and roasted Brussels sprouts with dinner. Within a month, he said something that resonated with me: "I feel like my body finally exhaled." But hormone balance isn't just about estrogen detoxification. Your blood vessels also require nutrients that protect, relax, and oxygenate. And that brings us to one of the most misunderstood greens, a leafy powerhouse that only works its magic when you prepare it the right way. Most men eat it incorrectly. Let's correct that now. Michael was 72 and still sharp, disciplined, and determined. He came to see me because he was frustrated. "Doc," he said, I eat a clean diet, green smoothies with kale, spinach, arugula, you name it. But I still feel off. My joints ache, I don't recover like I used to, and in the bedroom, it's just not happening. He was doing all the right things, except for one detail that made all the difference. After 60, he wasn't cooking his greens. Dark leafy greens like kale, Swiss chard, and arugula are rich in magnesium, vitamin K, and natural nitrates. These are precisely what an aging male body needs to boost testosterone, improve nitric oxide production, and support healthy circulation. But when eaten raw, these same greens are packed with oxalates, plant compounds that can hinder mineral absorption and even trigger inflammation in the kidneys, joints, and blood vessels. And that's the hidden cost that most men never hear about. You try to do something healthy, and instead, you end up with stiffness, fogginess, and weakened blood flow to the very parts of your body you're trying to support. It's not your fault, it's simply a lack of information. Once we switched Michael to lightly sautéed greens with olive oil, garlic, and lemon, his recovery improved, his sleep deepened, and his confidence slowly returned. He told me, I didn't know I could feel this clear again. But now that you know which vegetables you might want to consider avoiding and which ones to embrace, there's one final piece we need to discuss, because what you eat is only half the story. The real transformation begins when you understand what happens inside your body once you make these changes and how quickly things can shift if you remain consistent. Let's bring it all together. Over the past 30 years, I've sat down with thousands of men, strong men, proud men, who came to me feeling confused, frustrated, and tired of silently losing the parts of themselves that once felt unshakable. And it often starts with something simple: what's on their plate? We've now identified 4 vegetables that you might want to consider avoiding after 60: soy-based products, raw spinach, processed corn, and flax seeds. Each one, in its own way, can diminish your testosterone levels, impair your circulation, and undermine your confidence as a man. The consequences aren't always immediately apparent, but over time, they become personal. Energy fades, desire diminishes, and connection weakens. But we've also revealed your path forward for vegetables that work with your biology, not against it. Beets to open up your blood vessels, asparagus to flush out harmful hormones, cruciferous vegetables to restore balance, and cooked leafy greens to rebuild strength at the cellular level. None of this requires a prescription, just a willingness to see your body as capable, not broken. I've seen men turn things around in just weeks by making these small, focused changes, and I believe you can too. Because the truth is, you're not too old, you're not too far gone, you just haven't been given the right information until now. Start today. Your strength, your vitality, your manhood, they're still within reach.